I haven't spoken to anyone on my mother's side in 1 year over this, and I'm questioning if I ever will again despite loving them and wanting a relationship with them. I am married, and my husband and I share the exact same background story. We both grew up poor in bad environments, and we both left home at 18 for college and never looked back. I didn't meet my husband until I was 31, and by then, we both managed to overcome our upbringings and create different lives for ourselves. We are dinks with a very modest home, and we keep our expenses minimal because we prefer regular travel over nicer things. We both work remote as well, so from the outside looking in, we appear to always be on vacation. At one point I decided to start posting travel content to see if I could generate a following and monetize it, which ended up working out, and I was able to earn small amounts and a few free things here and there. I was more than happy with this outcome, so I continued to post in hopes of what this might become. I live across the country from my family, so no one had any idea that I was doing well before I started posting because I usually only saw them on holidays. My increased posting of our travels led to my family members start asking me for money. I was initially happy to help because the requests made sense and it didn't hurt the budget. Over time, it started going from a couple of hundred here and there to increasingly ridiculous requests, as well as more people asking. For example, my brother's fiance asked me to pay for their wedding, not help to cover it, but to cover it completely. My husband became fed up, and together we created an agreement with each other that any requests over a certain amount needed to be approved by the other person. He also said that my mother is the only person I need to worry about and to let everyone else take care of themselves. Now, my husband is a lot more bootstrap mentality than I am, so his response is usually no, whereas I used to have a harder time with that. With him supporting me, it became much easier to say no. I even gained confidence after a while, and eventually, everything except someone being homeless or hungry became an easy no for me. My family definitely noticed the shift and commented on it, but it didn't seem like a big deal. Fast forward, my mum slips up while talking on the phone, and I find out that she was lying to me about why she needed the money. After I cut everyone off but her, they began asking her to ask me, and she would do it and pretend that it was for her. This hurt my feelings, and my response was to stop helping her financially as well. She started asking other people in the family instead, and one day, I get a phone call from a cousin of mine. This cousin makes good money, but he has a whole family to support, and he also regularly asked for money. He asked me why my mum is asking him for money instead of me, and tells me that I need to step it up and share the load. He goes on this tangent about how we need to stick together and take care of the people who took care of us. I don't bother explaining how we got here, just keep it civil and let it go. After this, a younger relative of mine who also posts content makes a video about people who don't help family and forget where they came from. Imagine my hurt and surprise to open the comments and see my aunt comment, "I won't say names, but rhymes with Clara. My name is Sarah." Even worse is that that comment had a lot of likes, replies, and laughing emojis from other family members. That was more than enough for me. I haven't talked to anyone since then, and I have removed and blocked all of my relatives from social media. I don't know if this is permanent, and I do miss them, but I'm just not ready to deal with the entitlement and ungratefulness again. I am 24, and I have a restraining order against my fiance's stepfather. The question is, should I renew it? This is just a summary, because the full story would take 24 hours to tell. I have changed names for legal reasons. Back in April, I was 6 months pregnant. My fiance James and I were couch surfing, just trying to stay afloat. That was when his stepfather Kevin and Kevin's wife Jennifer offered to let us live with them. They said we could stay rent-free, have a private room, and just cover our own food. It sounded like a lifeline, so we said yes. We drove 2 hours to get there. In the house were Kevin, Jennifer, Jennifer's daughter from a previous marriage, Chloe, and James's half-brother, Travis. There were 3 bedrooms, so I asked where our room would be. They took us to the screened-in back porch. I was 6 months pregnant. It was 32 degrees outside, there was no insulation, no air conditioning, no ventilation, just a mattress on the porch floor. Even worse, Travis did not use his bedroom. He preferred to sleep on the couch, so there was a perfectly good room available. But we were not allowed to use it just in case Travis might want it. He never did. Also important, Travis is mentally delayed. That will matter later. 2 months passed and I was miserable. It was hot. Suddenly we were paying $500 a month and buying all of our own food. That was never the agreement. On top of that, Jennifer constantly made comments about how fat I was and how much I ate to her 17-year-old daughter. Meanwhile, Chloe would bring home university-aged guys to sleep with, and Jennifer and Kevin were providing them with cannabis and alcohol. I was pregnant, exhausted, and surrounded by loud, drunken chaos nearly every night. Eventually, I snapped. We got into a full-blown screaming match. Me, Jennifer, Kevin, and Chloe. I told them I was done. Their response? They kicked me out. James was allowed to stay. So, there I was, 8 months pregnant, homeless, and alone in the middle of summer. I found a spot in a shelter while James stayed at the house so he could save up money for us. One night, he called me and said he could not take it anymore. Every single day, Kevin was telling him to leave me, saying the baby was not his, calling me abusive, doing everything he could to convince James to stay and abandon me. So, my grandfather and I drove out and picked James up in the middle of the night. That was when Kevin completely lost it. He started by sending us threatening messages. Then, he began harassing my family. He called James's new job. He even reported us to Child Protection Services trying to get my baby taken from me before he was even born. Then came the worst part. He began threatening to kill my son. Kevin is a veteran. He owns multiple guns and he knows how to use them. I was terrified. I collected evidence and got a court date. When we showed up, Kevin brought Travis as a witness. He claimed Travis had seen me hitting James. The judge asked Travis a few questions to assess his competency. He could not say his own name. He did not know where he lived. He did not know what state we were in or even what court was. But he did say, "My dad told me to say she hit James." The judge knew right away that he had been coached. I presented a mountain of evidence, screenshots of Kevin's social media posts, call logs, and statements from family members. The judge was horrified. She even made Kevin read his own posts out loud, word for word. By the end, she ruled in my favor. I was granted the restraining order and Kevin's guns were confiscated. Since then, he has not contacted me directly, but he still posts passive-aggressive things online. He has toned it down, but I have screenshots of everything. The restraining order expires in 5 months. He has not reached out, but the tone of his posts still shows a lot of anger. So the question is, should I renew it? So, I escaped from my old life almost 2 years ago. And honestly, life has been so much better since. Difficult, yes, but much better in other aspects. At the start, my family did everything they could to guilt trip me into staying, shaming, manipulation, even stalking. I then decided to go full no contact for a while. After almost a year, they reached out saying they didn't want to lose me and promised to respect my space as long as I at least visited occasionally. I agreed and I visited a couple of times, but when I'm there, I don't even try to interact much anymore. I did try in the beginning, but all I got was indifference or coldness. That killed any motivation to put in more effort. The most shocking part is realizing just how hard my own family made the process of leaving. It's still surreal at times. Like, my own family? Really? Just because I wanted freedom? Those who have read my story know that it was not easy. Now, one of my siblings says I'm not putting in the effort and that it hurts our mum to see me come and go and know nothing about my life once I leave. And I'm left wondering, do I need to explain where I go, what I do, or how I live? Like I owe updates, and why? It feels like they want things to go back to how they used to be, and that version of me is long gone. My parents, even at this stage, still blame me and say that this new dynamic is my fault. They've now invited me on a road trip to bond, and while part of me feels like maybe I should give it a shot, the other part is screaming caution. I've already been roped into going to an event I didn't even want to attend, so boundaries are already being nudged and I was promised my decisions would be respected. I told a friend about this and she said I'm being difficult and now I don't know. Am I being difficult? Is it just in my head? Should I go on this trip or just stay away? So, my husband's the youngest of 5 and he was really close to his mum, but she passed away suddenly when he was in his 20s before either of us had kids, and out of all the siblings, he's the only one whose children never got to meet her. When I was pregnant with our daughter 2 years ago, he told me he was excited, but also really sad. He said it just felt wrong that she'd never get to meet his mum, and I got it. It's a heavy thing. So I suggested we name her after his mum in some way. I'd never met her, but I liked her middle name, and thought it would be a nice way to honor her. We agreed to use it as our daughter's middle name. When we told people, friends, his family, even my extended family, everyone thought it was sweet, but my mum? Oh, she absolutely lost her mind. Every single conversation after that turned into a rant. She said it was unfair, that I was slighting her, that I was favoring my husband's mum over her. even though, again, I never met the woman. It was like a personal betrayal in her eyes. At the time, I hadn't figured out how to set boundaries, so I tried to meet her halfway. We were still looking for a first name, so I told her to send us some suggestions. She did, and I wish I was joking, but the list had names like Priscilla and Blossom, and not only were they not our style, but they sounded awful with my husband's surname. Just no flow at all, so I told her we wouldn't be using any of them, and she flipped. Full meltdown. Said we were being disrespectful, that my husband was making the baby all about him, and that we were ruining her experience of being a first-time grandmother. She even went as far as saying my husband had his pick twice, because the baby was getting his mum's middle name and his last name. Like, what? And again, still deep in my doormat phase, I tried so hard to please her. I even sent her the list of first names we liked and told her she could choose one from there. But she refused, said none of them were as good as her picks and none were worthy of her granddaughter. Eventually, we just went with a name we loved from our list, paired with my husband's mum's middle name. And that was that. Except, it wasn't. Because every conversation with my mum after that somehow circled back to my daughter's name. She kept saying she was willing to compromise and would send over names that were kind of similar to the one we chose, but in her words, prettier. And every time I said no, she'd blow up all over again. Told me I was naming my daughter after one grandmother, but not the other, and acted like I was playing favorites. I was hormonal, pregnant, and fully over it. So one day, I just snapped and told her straight up. It was ridiculous for her to be jealous of a dead woman, and if she kept pushing, she wasn't going to see my daughter at all. Apparently, she still makes comments behind my back. My dad tells me things sometimes, but we're low contact with my side now. And I've learned how to hold boundaries properly, which honestly has brought a lot of peace. I thought of this story again recently because we brought our daughter to visit my husband's mum's grave. And yeah, it still annoys me, but now there's enough distance that I can laugh about it.